Hello there, it's official. Games Workshop have lost control of the old world. I think that bodes pretty poorly for the future, and I really hope that they get round to releasing some kind of winter FAQ errata that takes control back. Really, I think it all started last year when they released their. Sorry, hi, my name's Dr. Dan. I normally do stats and meta and stuff, although I do play rugby and I've got kids and stuff, so I don't get a lot of time to record videos or play Warhammer nowadays, which is very annoying, but that's the nature of the beast, isn't it? So I'm probably going to go down to recording videos like 1 or 2 days a month and then try and stagger them out a little bit. So there's a bit of discussion going on. Comment down below if you want to take part in the chat. I respond to all comments. I have done so far, and I doubt I'm going to get so busy that I can't do that in future. Anyway, so what's going on? Why is Games Workshop lost control? Because there's 5 versions of the game, right? There's the official version, the errated. Well, there's the official version. I guess you could say the errated version is a different version, but because some people will just play rulebook and some people play the thing, but they won't be playing just basic rulebook at tournaments. So I guess maybe there's the official version. There's this Aussie rules composition that we'll talk about in a sec. There's the Renegade pack. Square-based have also done another version of the game for tournaments that kind of can build on the Renegade pack, but it's technically a different edition. And there's another comp from somewhere else that I've forgotten the name of, which is why I can't find a video that talks about it. Anyway, this is King Pash has come up with this sort of set of rules for tournaments. Now, so there's stuff like the Green Knight and the Falconhorn of Fredemund can only be taken in Errantry Crusade. Infernal Puppet may only be taken in a Heralds of Darkness list. Don't know why. Amulet the Serpent may only be taken in a Grand Army list, so you can't have big poisoned blocks of stuff in the Royal Host, because you can have a big unit of like archers and spears, and they don't want that to be able to get poisoned attacks. Spiderfang Banner may be only taken in a Troll Horde army list. Why? Because we don't want big blocks of poisoned attacks goblins. Well, I don't see why that's a problem. Anyway, I mean, yeah, whatever. But the point I'm making is that makes it a different game. It just does. Rulebook magic laws may not be duplicated, so you can't have multiple characters with death, for instance. So you can't have a kind of a vampire count list where you've got 3 or 4 necromancers all using necromancy. I mean, I don't know. That doesn't. Yeah. No magic items are extremely common, so we get rid of that. No rare units may be duplicated. They're rare, so no more than a third can be spent on fly units. It's just more restrictions to armies to try and kind of trim down. Now, when it comes to balancing the game, right? The game is never going to be balanced. Chess, which is another similar sort of war game, where everybody has exactly the same troop disposition at the beginning, still confers an advantage to white, because white goes first. White still has an advantage because white goes first. So, from the lesson of chess, it is impossible to balance the game perfectly, right? It's impossible to make it 100% purely about player skill. And the closer you get to chess, the more balanced it gets, but still, it will be unbalanced. If you want to play chess, I'd suggest you go and play chess. If you want to play chess with Warhammer models, get a chess board and paint up some Warhammer models and play chess with, you know, if that's really what you want to do, if it's all about the models and you just want a strategic game that's going to be fairly balanced, just use Warhammer models as chess pieces. You know, I've done that occasionally. It's quite fun. And you can actually tell narratives whilst you're doing it. If you've got, you know, if you've got some imagination, you can essentially do a narrative game of Warhammer on a chessboard. It is quite a lot of fun. I'd encourage you to give it a go every now and again. And it will be the most perfectly balanced and fair version of Warhammer you've ever played, because it's chess. Now, the more that you restrict army composition, the closer to chess you get. So this is just a version of Warhammer that's slightly closer. It's not chess at all. It's nowhere near. But it's still just slightly closer. You see, like, the continuum between chess and, like, D&D, right? Where the rules are, let's say, well, not D&D, but you know what I mean? Where you got the rules that are really, really lax. They don't, you know, there's a sort of a general principle that governs the universe, but you can pretty much do what you like. To chess on the other extreme, which is very, very strict and the rules are preset and there's no flexibility really. So on that continuum, Warhammer's probably about here, and this version is just slightly more to the left. Sorry, to my left, not to the left. It's not. Chess isn't a liberal game at all. Yeah, I don't know. Ignore that. I don't know why I'm talking about. I accidentally. I didn't mean that. But more towards the kind of the chess extreme than the other. So this is one edition. He's still talking about it. There we go. And then he's gone to talk about the scenarios. I thought there was another video. I've maybe clicked on the wrong video. But this is like another way, another comp that resets like the cost of the. Also, go subscribe to Pash Hammer. Good channel, decent bloke. If you want, obviously, you know, go check him out first. I don't want to tell you what to do. But I'd thoroughly recommend listening to Pash every now and again. And this is just another version of the game.
Call this out.
Square-based have done. Of course, they've got the Renegade pack, which is basically a bit of a rules update for. Where's the bloody graphic? Here we are. Which is a rules update. They've also come up with a square-based comp, where essentially they've added now. They've said basically you get this kill point modifier, right? So 0.77. So essentially it means that your kill points are still out of 2,000. So if you multiply two, do you know actually? Oh, I know 2,200. That's right. Yeah, 2,600 times 0.77 is a little bit over. Oh no, it's because I pressed 2,773 times 0.77. It's 2 points over. Slight advantage to them there. No, I mean, so the whole point there is basically every single kill point that your opponent gets, they then have to rebase using this, so it's out of 2,000. So they don't get more kill points. But again, the faction choice here, like, I wouldn't actually disagree with much of it, but I do think some of it feels a bit arbitrary. Like, for instance, the Minotaur Bloodherd, I think is a lot stronger than that. You know, what they've done is they've sat down and they've basically done their own tier listing video and then assigned points to those different tier levels, which is fair enough. You know, if that's how you want to do it. But it's a different version of Warhammer because you end up with, you know, some factions having, you know, way more allocation for rare stuff, and some factions, you know, actually have some pretty decent rare stuff. And actually, the extra allocation to rare and to characters, you know, can make those factions like pretty decent. None of these actually, to be honest. Now I've said that, apart from Minotaur Bloodhead, I think Minotaur Bloodhead is quite strong and probably should be up here. But yeah, I mean, but anyway, it's another edition of the game. Creation Warhouse should probably be, anyway. I'm not going to comment. I don't really need to comment on that because, you know, it doesn't really matter. They don't listen to me, so whatever. But the point I'd make is that this is just basically another derivation of the game of Warhammer: The Old World, which is fine, but you know we're on 3 editions, and then of course you've got the Renegade pack as well, which you know probably makes it. We don't know because we haven't done the statistical analysis yet, but it probably makes a bit of a difference when it comes to the Old World. When it comes to the meta, like I do think Renegade vampire counts are better than vampire counts. You know, I do. You know, I do. I do think Renegade Skaven is a lot better than Skaven. You know, I think the others are pretty much of a muchness. In fact, weirdly, I think the Renegade Chaos Dwarves are arguably slightly weaker than the normal Chaos Dwarves. So, you know, do I think that, you know, this is... you can tell what I mostly watch. It's either Warhammer... oh, I don't even know what that is. Some kind of gaming thing. Sharpie and rugby. That's my Warhammer feed. But yeah, I mean, so that's another edition. So, I mean, basically, Games Workshop. That all of this is saying is that Games Workshop are not going to fix the meta. The community don't believe Games Workshop are going to fix the meta. So essentially, the community are taking it into their own hands, and this is literally the only way we provide feedback to Games Workshop and tell them that they've made a mistake and that their game is shit, because we need to step in as a community and fix it. And that's a crying shame, actually. Everybody who works at Games Workshop on the Old World as a franchise should, I think, be considering resignation right now. If I were them, if this is the state of their game, that so many, you know, fairly influential, you know, I know the Old World itself isn't a big game. You know, Square Based, I think, is probably the biggest channel with 22,000 subscribers. So it's tiny, really. It's a tiny part of the internet. But if so many fairly influential people in your game, Games Workshop, if so many fairly influential people are making efforts to correct your game because they think your game is broken, that means you've failed. You failed to control the game, and you failed to provide an experience for people that is fair and balanced, such that other people are writing rules for you, or writing rules to cover gaps. And, you know, they're going to make arguably more mistakes than you are, which further breaks the game. These are basically, you know, this is like the modding community on like other games. It's like you've made such a rubbish product that somebody feels the need to mod it. But these aren't, and this is the bit where it's not like modding. Modding normally is like a cosmetic thing, or like, you know, like I don't like the UI on a game, so I want to change the interface, right? I don't like, you know, I don't like the way that I don't know, that the grain merchant works because it does this and that, and I'd rather it, you know, did something different or whatever. You know, I do like, you know, so however you square it, these mods are fundamental. They're fundamental to like game balance. They're fundamental to not game balance, sorry. They're fundamental to game operations. It's like the people, you know, it's like the game is broken, and people are providing mods that make the core code of the game actually work, or are trying to, but it's still breaking, right? Because, you know, I don't think so. For instance, if I were going to do this, right, essentially this is a tier listing, right? So your A tier stuff gets 2,000 points, B tier gets more, C, it's a tier listing, and there's more points. So tournaments are going to be essentially, you know, if they go down this route, are essentially reliant on these two guys' opinions of basically a tier maker video is going to change how those tournaments and those games are played. You know, and you know, they're like, is this the most important video we've ever made? Is one of the videos they've, or how to make Warhammer the old one way more fun, like change the points. You know, what was I going to do? Oh yeah, so if we wanted to look at the faction stats, for instance, I mean, I did this in my stats video. These are a bit broken at the moment as well because of the stupid distributions and because of these factions have like pretty much broken it. And look, actually, I didn't say that on the stats video, but this makes my point even harder. Like, if you take all the data from the entirety of every single tournament ever played, the Jade Fleet and Cathay are so good, they break the stats. Like, they have broken, the Cathay has, I don't like swearing that. Well, I do quite like swearing, but I don't like swearing on here because I don't want to, like, you know, accidentally offend people. But they fucked it. Like, it's totally fucked. Like, there's, you know, Cathay has totally broken the entire game. And it was so foreseeable as well. Like, you know, everybody who read the book was like, you know, even if they were being kind and not wanting to jump, you know, go for the jugular, were like, oh, that's very strong. Oh, I can't wait to see that in a tournament. I certainly could wait to see it in a tournament because it's just stupid. It's so stupidly broken. We can't even do statistical analysis on which factions are doing well or not because Cathay are so good and they've broken the whole goddamn thing. This doesn't need to happen. Right? Actually, right now, Cathay and the Jade Fleet should be the only two in here. Everything else should be here, according to the stats. Sorry. Maybe there's a case that Lizardman, Skaven, and Seaguard should go here, right? And then everything else here, because... Oh, sorry. What was the one? Wild Herd, right? So if we're doing this based on statistical analysis, right, then this is where Cathay and Jade Fleet go, 2,000 points. The Wild Herd go at 2,200. Everything else go at 2,400, apart from Skaven and Knightly Orders are here, right? This is where they've put them. But like Knightly Orders are the worst faction ever. Like, they're really, really bad. They're worse than Skaven. Yeah, they've only had 10 performances, but they're still pretty terrible. You know, if we want to maybe update this so we go from, like, the last FAQ errata, Knightly Orders. Oh, no, Knightly Orders have come up a bit. Where the hell? Oh, no, they haven't had enough appearances since the new errata. Yeah, they're still the worst faction in the game. You know, Skaven, Lizardman. Oh, let's turn on Renegades as well. There we go. So, you know, Skaven faction, Skaven, Lizardmen, and Dark Elves and Knightly Orders are, you know, like the worst in the game. Grant, let's have a quick look at. Sorry, I should have looked at this core launch. There we go. Yeah, Cathay's still broken it. And Renegades, yeah, so Vampire Renegades, and what? So if Squarebase were to do it a bit more statistically, based on some stats, Cathay and Jade Fleet go here at 2,000 points. You know, and that just doesn't make any sense either, really, from a game, you know, from a game design perspective. So, what can we do as a community? Well, nothing really. I mean, I guess the main thing is, you know, just play your games, have fun, and don't buy Games Workshop products. Like, you know, we've got to punish them for this. We've got to stop buying Warhammer Old World stuff for a bit, right? And we've got to make it clear and go in to your local store and say, I'd love to buy more, but Cathay's so broken right now, I morally cannot support this game. And go and tell your local store manager that. I think that's the only way that we get the feedback back to them, that Cathay has broken the game. And if the store manager goes, well, just, you know, does the usual Games Workshop stuff, and I like a lot of them. I've got a few store managers as friends, but I understand what they have to do for their job, and it is a job. At the end of the day, you do what your bosses tell you, and I don't blame them for any of the stuff that the sales patter that they're taught to say. But like, as soon as they go, well, but you know what I mean, as just say, all you have to do at that point is just say, no, I don't accept, I will not accept any revision to that unless and until the rules are changed. I'm not spending a single penny in this store. Unless and until the rules are changed, literally the only things I'm buying is painting supplies until I'm going to clear my pile of potential. That's what I'm going to work on until Games Workshop actually produce a game that everybody can play. Because right now, the only people that can play it are, Cathay can play Cathay players, non-Cathay players can play non-Cathay players, but Cathay players cannot play non-Cathay players right now. Statistically, it's a fool's errand to even bother to attempt to have a game. And I did the other day. I played somebody, not I say the other day, it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I played somebody who had Cathay and just about managed to draw. Yeah, but that's only because I got quite lucky with a few, really key rolls. Yeah, I was playing with Chaos Warriors with my sort of tournament-y Chaos Warrior list, whilst I'm still sort of theory crafting my Skaven list, because I still can't find a decent Skaven list, to be honest, or not one that I'm happy with, because they are awful. But yeah, anyway, I think that's the whole video, really. I think we've got to, Cathay has broken it so much that we do need to say something to anybody who'll fucking listen. Like, we just need to say something, because it's pretty bad. I know all the competitive players. Well, I've seen quite a few competitive players take, and because Cathay are so good, the problem is, like, the top competitive players know that Cathay are a bit of a cheat code, and then they start, and then they all start piling onto the Cathay bandwagon because, well, they've got to in order to win tournaments, right? So it makes it even worse. It's so destructive and so stupid. I just don't. Where's the bloody... I thought there was top lists. Oh, it's bloody there, idiot. I'm literally staring right at it. Because let's... where is it? Grand Cathay. Well, in fact, let's have a look at some... Yeah, look, Russ Veal, top player, taking Jade Fleet. Brian Carmichael, really good player, Jade Fleet. Yeah, Russ Veal coming second. We got Lee Callahan. I'm sure I've seen that name before somewhere. Winning a tournament there. These are all the results with Jade Fleet. Charles Nichols and Mark Andrew, the only two that haven't done, ridiculously well with them. I mean, again, there's not a lot of, whatever here. Yeah, Brian Carmichael, really good player. Chris Cousins seems to have switched to Cathay. Toby Resnick, Liam Jordan, Thomas Jacobs. I'm just going by names that I'm sure I've seen Christian Vestal before. Andrea Nini, I think he's quite decent. Sun Tzu Secrets is his name. That's cool. Again, Brian Pash, King Pash, he's switched over to the Beard Hammer. Chris Cousins. Oh, I've said Chris Cousins, haven't I? He's over there as well. Yeah. So we've got all of these really good players who have switched over to Cathay. Russ Veal again here. It's just, and the real shame is the models are really nice, and I want to buy them because the models are really nice, but I won't because they're broken, and it's my own little protest. So I think this is what we've got to do. We've got to say to GW, I'm not buying any more of your shit until you fix this game that I love, because you've broken it, and you can tell it's broken because we've got 5 freaking editions floating around. and I forget which the bloody fifth one is, but there's another edition. There's another comp that somebody's put up as well. That's fairly that is a fairly comprehensive. I can't remember where I saw it, but I saw it the other day, and I was just flicking through bits and bobs. So they've lost control of it. Anyway, that's the end of this video. I'm sorry it's been a bit of a rant about Games Workshop, and I've been a bit sort of negative. I don't mean to. I am a very negative person. I do have I do have quite a bit of Jewish ancestry, so I absolutely love a whinge. I absolutely have no problem with spending all day whinging about things. But I know that people don't like listening to me whinge about things, so I try not to. So yeah, I guess I don't really know what to say at this point. But comment down below. I mean, I want to engage conversation on this, and I want to find out a way of us as a community being able to give feedback back to GW, because at the moment there's just there's no way of doing that, and it's not like you can do with Creative Assembly. The Warhammer Total War community, or the Total War community in general, know what to do when Creative Assembly are cocking up, right? You just give them loads and loads of negative reviews. And then they do, and to be fair to them, they generally do fix things once the community has said en masse, oi, this is wrong, fix it. They're normally pretty decent at that, actually. So, it's not like that feedback loop doesn't work, whereas there's no way of doing that, I think, with Games Workshop, which is a bit of a shame, really. Because, it doesn't need doing in this particular case, because they've broken the game. And they've broken the game so much that, like I said, the stats don't work anymore. The stats don't work anymore because they've broken the game. And I say that as somebody who's, recently been awarded a PhD and is a bit of a quants guy. So I'm a bit of a stats nerd, and I can tell you this is not right. This isn't how this should look, right? And it's not and it's not how it should look because everybody's quite close. Like, for instance, if this win rate here were like 46% and the win rate down here was like 42%, and this had happened to like the distribution, I would say, well, actually, they've broken the stats, but in a good way, because they've broken the stats because they've balanced it, right? But that's not the case. This win rate here is 59% with the standard. So the top end of this one is 90%, right? 90% win rate is normal for a Cathay player, right? You go down to Knightly Order. 0% win rate is normal for Knightly Order. So, like Skaven, 5% win rate is... So, not winning a single game is normal for the Knightly Orders, right? It's nearly normal for Skaven. In fact, Skaven don't win... it's not normal for Skaven to win 3 games at a 5-game tournament, right? Because the top end of that range estimate is 59.7%, which is just below 60. So getting 60%, i.e. getting 3 wins at a 5-game tournament, is not normal. That's above average for Skaven. Cathay, it's not normal for them to do any worse than that. Sorry, it's not normal. That's not true. It's not normal for them to only... it's not normal for them to only get 1 win. So the overlap of like where those results overlap, these are 2 totally different. And the thing is, right, you've got Seaguard Garrison, you've got Knightly Order are a bit better. Knightly Order and Seaguard Garrison. You got Dwarf and Mountain Holds, Empire, Orion's Wild Hunt. These are all supported factions, and they're all pretty rubbish compared with this. So why? It needs fixing, and I'm afraid there's a lot in Cathay that's broken, and just fixing the balloon thing won't fix the whole problem. The laws that they're given are too good. The Law of Yin and the Law of Yang are very, very strong. The kind of dual level spells that they've got are too powerful. Sorry, that's another reason I've not done a video for a while, is because I got a cold a few weeks ago, and It's been just like it's been tickly. Like I've got this tickly cough for ages, and I know quite a lot of people don't like me doing this when I'm ill for some reason. I got shouted at quite a lot on like last time I did this with a bit of a cough. So apologies. But also I don't. Yeah, I think it was mostly Americans, but I think Americans have got this really weird thing. Well, to us as Brits, it's a really weird thing about going into work when you're ill. In Britain, everybody goes to work even when they're ill. Whereas in America, it's well, I think in some states it's like you just don't do that. That's seen as quite rude. So cultural differences. Again, comment down below if I've got that completely wrong. But that was my perception at the time. And if it's wrong, I'd love to learn. So yeah, they've broken the game, and I don't know how to get feedback to them. If you comment down below, if you do, obviously there's the errata email. You can send in emails to FAQ at whatever it was, Games Workshop, or is it old _world _ FAQ at, or whatever the thing was. You can send stuff into that, but I genuinely don't think they ever pick those up. I think that's a bit of maybe a black hole sort of email address. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. I don't know how to make them like sit up and just fix something. Because although I said that, the signature spells, the balloons are too powerful. Like they're way too cheap. There needs to be 100 points more each, easy. And then I think that would help a little bit. The statues should be power level 1, not 3. The Jade Sentinel should be power level 1, maybe 2, certainly not 3. There's just Miao Ying's Celestial Dragon Guard upgrade should be 5 points, I think, or maybe 3 or 4. Certainly not 1. 1 is way too cheap for all those effects. And, I genuinely don't think you ought to be able to give your Jade Warriors weapon skill 6, even if it is with buffs and stuff, because, they're not bloody sword masters. Like, high elf sword masters have trained for centuries the art of wielding a sword, and that's got them up to weapon skill 6, right? Centuries and centuries of dedication to the art of learning to wield a sword. Centuries, right? And then you compare that with, just a man from like Cathay, and apparently they can get it up to weapon skill 6 with a bit of a wizard shouting at them a bit. They're already weapon skill 5 for no real reason. They're not imbued with the powers of chaos or the powers of the dragon or anything. They're just normal human beings. Just insane. And they come with heavy armor and shield, as standard, which rarely do any other sort of factions. So it's just there's an awful lot about Cathay that's broken and needs sorting. But anyway, that's the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Give me a like and a subscribe and all that kind of stuff if you fancy. It's totally up to you, and I'll see you again soon. Toodaloo.